Welcome to your national weather forecast for Thursday, January 22nd. Cold is the dominant story across Canada, and it's all tied to the polar vortex, which is now fully engaged and spreading Arctic air across much of the country. This cold pattern is not a short-lived event. It will persist through Thursday, deepen into the weekend, and gradually shift eastward as we move toward early next week. Right now, the coldest air is firmly locked over the prairies and the Great Lakes, but this pool of Arctic air will continue expanding east into Quebec and Atlantic Canada through Friday and the weekend. Many regions are running well below seasonal averages, and for some, this will be the coldest stretch of weather in years. Let's start out west. Across British Columbia, the weather remains relatively quiet. However, low cloud and fog continue to be an issue, especially during the morning and daytime hours. Dense fog is lingering across the lower mainland and along the Strait of Georgia, and in many areas it may persist through much of the day once again. Cloudy periods will continue through Friday, though there may be some brighter breaks at times. Fog conditions should gradually improve heading into the weekend, becoming less widespread and less persistent. No significant precipitation is expected through Thursday, Friday, or the weekend, though we may eventually see Pacific moisture return early next week. Now moving into the prairies. This is where the cold is most intense. Bitter Arctic air is entrenched across Saskatchewan and Manitoba, with Alberta not far behind. Morning cloud cover is possible across parts of Alberta, with a few light snow showers or flurries along the foothills and higher elevations. These snow showers are not significant in terms of accumulation. Most areas will see only a dusting to a couple of centimeters at most, mainly near Calgary, Lethbridge, and along the foothills. Winds will generally remain light to moderate, around 15 to 30 km per hour, which limits blowing snow but does little to ease the cold. Temperatures, however, are extremely harsh. Parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba are dealing with temperatures in the -20s to near -30, with wind chills making it feel even colder. Alberta is slightly less extreme but still well below normal. Northern regions remain cold and quiet as well, with occasional light snow and patchy blowing snow in places like Churchill, but no major systems moving through. Now let's shift east into Ontario and the Great Lakes. Lake effect snow continues to be the main weather concern through Thursday and into Friday. Snow squalls and localized bursts of heavier snow are developing east and southeast of the Great Lakes, especially east of Georgian Bay, along the eastern shore of Lake Huron, and downwind of Lake Ontario. These snow bands can be intense at times, producing reduced visibility and rapidly changing road conditions. However, this lake effect setup is not expected to last long. As winds gradually shift and weaken, snow squall activity should begin to wind down later Friday and into Saturday. Snowfall amounts will be highly localized, with the highest totals east of Georgian Bay and in traditional snowbelt areas. Winds will generally range between 30 and 50 km per hour, with stronger gusts near the loch shores. Temperature-wise, conditions turn even colder as we head into Friday and the weekend. Southern Ontario will plunge deeper into the Arctic air, with daytime highs struggling well below freezing and overnight lows becoming increasingly harsh. Looking ahead, increasing cloud cover is expected late in the weekend as attention turns to a potentially significant storm system developing to the south. Now into Quebec. For Thursday, conditions are relatively calm compared to Ontario. Montreal and surrounding areas may see a few flurries, but temperatures are not as extreme just yet. That will change as we move into Friday and Saturday, when colder air filters in more decisively. Snow chances increase later in the weekend as the atmosphere becomes more active ahead of the next system. Confidence is growing that a storm will have major impacts south of the border, but how far north the heaviest snow reaches into southern Quebec is still uncertain. And finally, Atlantic Canada. A mix of rain and snow continues across parts of Nova Scotia, with snow more likely inland and rain or mixed precipitation closer to the coast. Sea effect and sea-enhanced snow will continue to affect coastal regions at times, particularly along exposed shorelines. Newfoundland, especially western and coastal areas, could see periods of heavier snow along with gusty winds. Wind gusts may exceed 80 km per hour in some exposed locations, particularly near the Avalon Peninsula and the Bay of Fundy region. Despite the wind and occasional snow, widespread high-impact weather is not expected on Thursday. Temperatures remain relatively mild for now, with places like Halifax near 5 degrees, though colder air will arrive as we move into the weekend. Looking ahead, the bigger story becomes the potential storm developing late Sunday into early next week. Confidence is high that it will significantly impact the United States, but confidence is still building regarding impacts in southern Ontario and southern Quebec. This is a system we'll be monitoring closely, as even small shifts in its track could make a big difference for snow totals and impacts here in Canada. For now, the message is clear: extreme cold remains locked in, lake effect snow continues in parts of Ontario, and a potentially impactful storm is on the horizon. Stay with us for updates as we refine the forecast and track how this pattern evolves through the weekend and into next week.